everyone, let's start with what homeostasis means. It is a process your body uses to keep things balanced, like temperature or sugar level. Let's look at all the cells, tissues, and organs involved in blood glucose regulation. First, we have pancreas, which release hormones called insulin and glucagon. Then we have liver, stores and releases glucose. Muscles and fats use or store glucose. Then we have small intestine, which absorbs glucose from food. And finally, the brain, it monitors glucose levels to keep everything balanced. After eating carbohydrates, it turns into glucose, which enters the blood and causes blood glucose levels to rise. And after this, pancreas senses this increase and releases a hormone called insulin. Let's look at how the blood glucose feedback loop works. First, the stimulus. Blood glucose level increases after eating. This change is detected by receptors in islets of Langerhans in the pancreas. The modulator beta cells in pancreas respond by releasing more insulin. Next, the effector, the liver, absorbs glucose and store it as glycogen. This leads to a response. Blood glucose levels decrease back to normal. Now let's look at what happens when blood glucose levels drop too low. The stimulus is a decrease in glucose level, like when you skip a meal. The receptor in islets of Langerhans in the pancreas detect this change. The modulator alpha cells in pancreas respond by releasing more glucagon. The effector in the liver, which breaks down stored glycogen into glucose and releases into the blood. The response is that blood glucose levels increase back to normal. Here, blood glucose regulation uses a negative feedback loop. When glucose levels rise, the pancreas releases insulin to lower it. When glucose is too low, pancreas releases glucagon to raise it. Let's understand the question why we use scientific models. Models help us to understand complex processes by simplifying them. For example, they show how insulin and glucagon work in blood glucose control. But models aren't perfect. They don't always show how fast thing happens in detail. Let's look at the example of malfunctions of blood glucose levels. In type 1 diabetes, pancreas stop making insulin, which means glucose can't enter the cell, so it builds up into the blood. This is a failure of feedback loop and needs a treatment with insulin injections. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Here are the sources I used for the video if you like to learn more.